How's it going? Today I'm talking about finishing strong has nothing to do with running more. I see it all the time. I get questions in the Facebook group, DMs, I see it in other Facebook groups. I need to get stronger so I can finish the race. I'm going to run more. I'm going to add another run to my week. I am going to add more miles to my long run. I just need to get to this amount of long run distance to guarantee I finish the race strong. No, that will not help. It may help somebody, but if you are listening to this podcast, you are likely slow, back of the pack, not really a runner, coming back from an injury, injury prone, not a professional athlete, not an elite athlete, not getting a 3-hour marathon, sub 3-hour marathon. So, in my professional experience, running more won't mean you finish strong. I do know that there is a popular training plan out there that says you bonk at the miles you train to. And so the theory is that if you want to cross the finish line feeling strong, legs feeling good, you need to run more than your race distance. So that training plan recommends 14 miles if you're doing a half marathon, 27 or 28 miles if you're doing a full marathon, and build and build and build, run more and more and more so that you don't bonk or lose your energy at partway through your race. And I understand the theory, but in practice, it doesn't work. You end up exhausting yourself, and so then you aren't prepared for race day. Specifically because with the way this training plan is written, you run 14 miles 2 weeks before your half marathon. You run 26, 27, 28 miles 2 to 3 weeks before your marathon. That is not enough time to recover from all of those miles. So running more in this case will make the opposite happen. You will not finish strong. You will be lucky if you get to the start line. And I hear all the time, you practice like you play. So yeah, you need to get to at least race distance in order to finish strong. That's not what that saying means. It means simulate situations that are like game day, that are like how you are going to play. So practice like you play. Let's take soccer as an example, right? So I grew up playing soccer, and I started 11v11 when I was in 5th grade. So that's 10 or 11 years old. 11 years old, I think. Started 11v11. When I first transitioned, now I can't speak to 6-on-6 because I don't remember what it was like starting 6v6 because I started playing soccer when I was 3 years old. I don't remember those things. I do remember 5th grade. I do remember starting 11v11. So that's where I'll start. So when you look at playing 11v11 soccer, you have 11 players on one team versus 11 players on the other team. It's a large field, and you play for 90 minutes. 6v6, you play for shorter. Now, when we first went out there, I had practice twice a week for 2 hours. Did we go and play a game every single practice in preparation for the game on Sunday? No, we did not. But wouldn't that mean practice like you play? You go and practice like you're in a game day situation, not by playing a 90-minute game twice a week to prepare for a 90-minute game on Sunday. that would exhaust you. In a 2-hour practice, we had little drills, we had shooting drills, we had dribbling drills, we had throw-in drills, we had set plays like corner kicks, throw-ins, direct kicks, indirect kicks, goal kicks, starting the game. We had discussion about if this happens, you do this. Like I had a discussion, I remember, so with 11v11, with an indirect versus a direct kick, it's based on what kind of foul happened, right? So in a direct kick means that nobody else needs to touch the ball in order for the person to kick it, and if it goes in the net, it scores a goal. An indirect kick means that it has to touch another player on the field in order for it to count as a goal if it goes in the back of the net. Now, when I first started playing 11v11, so I was goalie, and my coach told me there was a set play. It was an indirect kick, and one of my teammates told me, just let it go in. And I said, okay. And it didn't make any sense to me. Well, she was thinking, and she didn't explain it. I literally remember her saying, just let it go in. And I did. I let it go in, and they scored. But somebody else touched the ball, and I should say the ball has to roll a full revolution. So somebody will touch it and let it start rolling a full revolution, and then the other person kicks it. And that's what happened. The person touched the ball, so it's no longer it no longer doesn't count if it goes in, meaning if it goes in, it counts. I should have tried to save, but I didn't know it. So anyway, you go through all of these scenarios of if this happens, do this. And that's what practice like you play for running a runDisney race means. You start with different scenarios. Like, what happens if you run out of water too soon? What happens if you get hungrier sooner? What happens if you lose your fuel? What happens if you start getting a blister? What happens if your leggings tear? What happens if you don't have your pair of shoes, you forget your shoes at home? Those kinds of situations. And then you practice different scenarios to build your strength, build your endurance, build your speed, but in a confined amount, not replicating, just go and run a half marathon to train for your marathon. Just go and run 14 miles to train for your half marathon. You run short bursts of speed work to get yourself faster. So when you take that time at the character stop and you have to play catch up because the balloon ladies are catching up behind you, now you know what it's going to feel like if you run at X% faster than your easy pace. You know what that's going to feel like, and you know how long it's going to take your legs to recover. Running up hills. Practice running up the hills to practice going up those ramps and knowing what it feels like and having the energy, the endurance, the strength to run up those ramps, because we know at runDisney you have all these on-off ramps that you have to run up and down, but also practice it so you know if you sprint at 110% up the ramp, you know what that's going to feel like and how long it's going to take you to recover from that. So then when your legs start feeling like jello, you don't panic and say, oh my God, are my legs going to collapse? What am I going to do? I still have 7 miles left to go. You can say, okay, I've felt this before. It will go away in the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Or you've already gone through that, so you know not to sprint 110% up the hill because you know it will take you 10 minutes to recover and you don't want to take 10 minutes to recover. So you sprint 50% up the hill and it will take you 1 minute to recover. So that's what practicing like you play means to help you finish strong. Finishing strong has nothing to do with running more. It's strategy. How are you going to manipulate and strategize your training over weeks, months, or years to finish strong. Now, I work with many runners who decide to run a marathon before they've ever even run a half marathon. I had a member in Stronger, Faster Finisher in March who decided to run the marathon over marathon weekend in 2025. She decided that partway through her princess training. She had started training for princess in like July or August. It was going so well that by the time she hit 8 to 10 miles, she was like, I could totally run more. And spots had opened up for the marathon. She said, I'm going to run the marathon. And so she did. And it went okay, not as great as she would have liked. And she wanted to do better for next time. So she joined Stronger, Faster Finisher to get stronger so that next year for Dopey, she would have more energy and finish strong. But the plan to get her to finish strong, now, of course, the next Dopey has not happened yet, but the plan to get her strong when she was in Stronger, Faster Finisher, it did not have her running more. And that's confusing. It was strategic working on strength and speed during that portion of training because we were in March, April, May, and June. We were not in training yet. So during that time period, that's when we worked on speed. That's when we worked on strength and getting stronger, lifting heavier to make it so that that would then translate when she was in training for Dopey, that things were already easier. But even doing training, once she starts training for Dopey, it's not going to be run more miles every single week. Now, that sounds weird when I say it. Yes, of course, you're running more miles, but not in the sense of more. It's not 1 to 2 miles every week. It's not running more than race distance. It's not even running race distance. If you follow any of my free training plans, you know the longest distance for a half marathon, a 10 miler, full marathon, it's 70% of race distance. So for a 10 miler, that's 7 miles. For a half marathon, that's 10 miles. For a full marathon, it's 20 miles. That's technically more than 70%. You could just stop at 18 and change, but most people like getting to that 20-mile mark. It's a mind game where it's like, if I just get to 20 miles, it's only a 10K after that. So many people have that feeling that that's in the training plan because it's not that much more, but we're not running race distance. I do recommend running race time or going race time. You could walk it. That's okay. You could walk more. That's okay. But running more, it's going to exhaust your muscles. Adding another run during the week, I see this one all the time too. Oh, I'm training for a half marathon and I really want to make sure that my legs are ready for race day. So instead of running 4 days a week, I'm running 5 days a week. Now, for a half marathon, I recommend running 3 days a week and doing cross training, but it's working those muscles differently. So it's different. But running 4 or 5 days a week, that is just going to run your legs into the ground. It increases your risk of injury. And also, if you're running that many miles up to race day, or that many times a week rather, up to race day, your legs are going to be exhausted. If you really want to finish strong, do slow, strategized increases in your mileage. I do recommend 10% each week. But more importantly, when it comes to racing, race week, carb load. Having energy in your legs so that they don't feel like lead when you're on race day, you need glycogen stores in your legs. That's what gets you further and further and further. I just did a long run the other day. At the time of recording this, It is, I am in taper for Halloween half marathon weekend. I just ran my 10-mile long run, longest run. I felt like I could go forever. And that is because I have increased slowly. So it's not a big jolt on my body. I ate a lot the night before. We had steak, baked potato, and I had 3 King's Hawaiian sweet dinner rolls. I should have, could have had more, and I had carrots. So the baked potato, the carrots, the bread, that's all carbs to give me some glycogen stores for when I go and run the next day. Now, leading up to my half marathon, I will do that for 2.5 to 3 days. I'm also doing the challenge, so 10K and half marathon. And to mention, I am also doing the 5K. So I'm going to be carb loading leading up to all of those races. Yes, the 5K, I don't technically need to carb load for it, but it's the course of the weekend. So I'm going to start earlier in preparation for the 5K, 10K, and half marathon. And then I'm going to fuel during the race. I base it on how long I'll be out there, not how many miles I'm running. So I'm going to plan that my half marathon will take me 3 hours. It may take more, especially if I'm stopping for characters or there's congestion. So I'm going to bring enough fuel for me so that if it takes longer than 3 hours, I have the fuel I need. That's what's going to get me across the finish line strong and make it so that I can go and enjoy the parks for the rest of the day. Running more miles is only going to exhaust me more. If I'm a slow, injury prone, back of the pack, not really a runner, kind of average runner, kind of runner. I'm not talking to the elite people. I'm not talking to the people who are trying to get a sub 3-hour marathon. That is not in my wheelhouse yet. I have not helped somebody do that before. I have not done that before myself. So right now, this information is not for you. This information is for the person who's at the back of the pack, taking 3.5, 4 hours for a half marathon and wants to finish strong and keep going throughout the parks the rest of the day.